Hello sports fans, it is Wednesday, February the 6th, the year 2013, and as usual, a lot to get to in the sports world, so let's get it going right now. Before we get to our NHL hockey today, let's go through some scores from last night. Let's start in college basketball, where number 2 Florida went into Arkansas and just got pasted by the Razorbacks. I was shocked by this score. I mean, Florida came in playing really good basketball. Arkansas is a bubble team at best, and Arkansas just laid the wood on Florida last night. I mean, I turned this game on. It was only like 6 minutes into the game, and Arkansas already had a 17-point lead. The game was over right then and there. I mean, Florida never really got back in the game, and Arkansas from start to finish just pasted number 2 Florida. Very surprised by that score. Good to see Arkansas win a big game. They really need to capitalize on this win and go on a winning streak. They are a bubble team at best right now. They don't have too many quality wins. They got one last night. Bad job by Florida. They looked like they weren't ready to play. Also, a tremendous game last night in Ann Arbor, Michigan. The Michigan Wolverines in overtime beat Ohio State by 2 points in a back-and-forth classic of a game. Really, really nice game to watch. These two teams were slugging back and forth. Michigan was so hot from three-point land in the second half. Ohio State kept getting, inside buckets and dunks and layups. Back and forth they went. Michigan holds on. Ohio State had a chance to tie it at the buzzer, but Michigan comes up with the big block shot. Ohio State wanted a foul. No call. Michigan wins by 2. Remember when they played in Columbus a few weeks ago, Ohio State won by 2. Michigan got them last night. Just a very nice battle last night between two rivals. Usually you expect that on the gridiron in football between these two. Now they've taken it to the basketball court as well. Really nice game. I hope you caught that Ohio State-Michigan game last night. Really good game. As far as your NHL last night, the Devils beat the Rangers. Pittsburgh beat the Islanders. Ottawa beat Buffalo. Philly beat Tampa Bay. Chicago went into San Jose and had a nice win. And Nashville beat St. Louis in St. Louis. Beat them pretty bad. I was surprised about that. In the NBA last night, Indiana continues their hot play, especially at home. They beat Atlanta. The Lakers went into Brooklyn and beat the Nets. Bad loss by the Nets. The Nets got to start beating some really good, decent teams. I mean, not that the Lakers are, a great team, but at least they, have a pulse. It seems like the only teams the Nets can beat are those bottom feeders. Anytime they play any team with any sort of ability, the Nets come up short. Didn't like the way the Nets played last night. And Houston beat Golden State last night. Houston hit like 4 billion threes last night, scored a ton of points, so Houston got the job done last night. Okay, that's your scores from last night. Let's get into our NHL. We're going to start in the East. We're going to go from worst to first. I'm going to give you wins, losses, overtime losses, and points. A little synopsis of each team. It's very early in the NHL season, but remember, it's only half a season this year. So, we're pressed for time with the NHL. The NHL, you got to get going with it because it's going to be over before you know it. Only half a season this year. All right, let's start in the Eastern Conference. Number 15, the Washington Capitals. They are 2-7-1. 5 points. What in the world is going on with the Washington Capitals? They've been a perennial power for the last few years. They look terrible so far. I know they have a new coach and a new system, and they're saying to be patient, but my goodness, that's asking a lot for the Capital fans to be patient after they've had some big-time teams in the last few years that fell short. Now they got to be patient again. I mean, Washington had a nice win against Philadelphia. Then they fall flat on their face against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Minus 12 goal differential for Washington. Awful. Right now, the worst team in the Eastern Conference. Hard to believe. Number 14, Buffalo Sabres. They are 3-6-1, 7 points. They beat Boston, but then they lost to Montreal, Florida, and Ottawa. This does not look like a vintage Buffalo team at all. What's with Buffalo? They usually give you a better performance than this. I mean, I don't expect them to get to the Stanley Cup, but they are playing lousy hockey right now. I thought they'd be a little better than this. Number 13, Florida. They are 3-5-1. They have 7 points. Starting to get a little healthy, starting to play a little better. They dug a deep hole, ton of injuries, starting to come out of it a little bit. Number 12, the Philadelphia Flyers. They are 4-6. They have 8 points. They had a nice win against Tampa Bay last night. The thing about Philadelphia is too many chances against and not enough scoring. That's been the Flyers' story all year. They did have a nice win against Tampa, though. Let's see if they can build on it. Number 11, the Rangers. They are 4-5, 8 points. Rangers need more consistent play. I mean, there are high expectations this year in the Garden for the Rangers. I mean, this year it's supposed to be, Stanley Cup or bust, or at least get to the Stanley Cup Finals. Rangers up and down this year, very inconsistent. Have a nice win against Tampa Bay. Looked terrible last night against the Devils. So Rangers need more consistent play. Number 10, Carolina, 4-4. They have 8 points. Giving up way too much on defense. Giving up way too much. They got to improve their defensive play or else they're going nowhere. I thought they'd be a surprise team this year, Carolina, with the addition of Stahl. We'll keep an eye on them. Number 9, Winnipeg. They're 4-1. They have 9 points. Worst penalty killing in all of the NHL. They had an awful week last week. They did win last night, but just awful penalty killing by Winnipeg. I mean, just atrocious penalty killing. Had an awful week. Best fans in the NHL. One of the best home ices in all of NHL, Winnipeg. Number 8, the Islanders. They are 4-1. They have 9 points. Disappointed in the Islanders in the last couple of games. They were starting to put this together some nice games. They didn't look good against the Devils the other day at the Coliseum. Didn't look so hot last night against the Penguins. The crowds are small. Crowds are usually small at the Coliseum anyway. Now they're moving to Brooklyn. They're going to be even smaller. So disappointed with the Islanders in the last 2 games. I thought, they'd show a little more there. Number 7, Toronto. They are 5-5, 10 points. Reimer good in net recently. I mean, that's been the story for Toronto. Decent in net, so Toronto's been a decent team so far. Number 6, Montreal. They are 6-2, 12 points. They continue to impress, getting great goaltending. Their fans are amazing. Montreal, a very, very surprised team early in the year. They didn't have a good year last year at all. Didn't make the playoffs, but they look really improved this year. So Montreal doing a nice job. Number 5, Ottawa. 6-3-1, 13 points. Spezza is out, and they can't score without him. That's the story with Ottawa. Need him back in the lineup. I mean, with him back in the lineup, you got something. With him, they're going to struggle to score goals. They still have a very decent record, though. They're doing pretty well right now. Number 4, the New Jersey Devils. They are 5-1-3, 13 points. Nice win at the Islanders, and a nice win last night against the Rangers. Nobody does a better job than the Devils front office. I mean, every year they have a good team. They have major losses last year to their team. And here again, they are playing well. They only have 1 regulation loss so far this year. Nobody does a better job of running their team than the Devils. Number 3, Tampa Bay. They are 6-3. They have 12 points. They've played a lot of home games so far. Best goal differential in the NHL. They did lose to the Flyers last night, but Tampa Bay is loaded with offense. They look like they have a good team. Boston Bruins in the 2 slot right now. 6-1-1, 13 points. To me, they're the best team in the East. That's even without Thomas, their goalie, who's taken the year off to spend time with his family. I think they're the best team in the East. They're big, they're tough, they're nasty, they're gnarly. They're just like a nasty little team. You don't want to get into fisticuffs with the Bruins. Believe me. Do not get into any fights with the Bruins. Walk away. Get off the ice. You don't want to be bothered. They are huge and just a nasty team. I think they're the best team in the East. That's my personal opinion right now. And in the number 1 slot right now in the East, the Pittsburgh Penguins, 7-3, 14 points. The Penguins had a really nice week of hockey. Beat the Rangers, Devils, Capitals, and Islanders. We know the Penguins are going to be there with Crosby and Malkin. If they get good goaltending, they are a definite threat. Penguins, one of the elite teams in the Eastern Conference. Make no mistake about it. All right, that's your East. Over to the NHL West. From 15 to 1. Number 15, the Calgary Flames. They are 2-3-2, 6 points. They actually had their first complete game last night. They went into Detroit and actually beat the Red Wings. I was shocked to see that score. First complete game of the year for Calgary. They need a lot more of that to have any hope of doing anything. We'll see if they move a Ginla before the trade deadline. Number 14, the Columbus Blue Jackets. They're 3-6-1, 7 points, -10 goal differential. Wisniewski is hurt. I mean, Columbus will battle you. They'll leave you black and blue at the end of the game, but you're usually going to beat Columbus. I mean, they'll give you a battle, but they usually fall short. They need a lot of work. Colorado at the number 13 position. They are 4-5, 8 points. Need Ryan O'Reilly back. He's a restricted free agent. What is this contract situation with him? Please, Colorado, get the job done. Sign the man and get him back on the ice. You need him. I mean, come on. I can't believe it's gotten this far and he's not on the ice yet. Colorado needs Ryan O'Reilly back. Number 12, the LA Kings. They are 3-3-2, 8 points. They have a Stanley Cup hangover right now. I mean, they're just caught in the Stanley Cup hangover. They're floundering. They're mediocre right now. Haven't put it together after their great run, after they won the Stanley Cup Finals last year. A little bit of a hangover so far. They do have time. Number 11, Dallas, 4-5-1, 9 points. Whitney is hurt. No offense without him. Need him back in the lineup. With him, you got something. Without him, mediocre at best. Number 10, Detroit, 4-4-1, 9 points. Detroit was getting so hot on offense. They were scoring 1 million goals. They have a home game against Calgary last night, a game you expect them to win like 6-0. They lose 4-1. I mean, we know Detroit is hockey town. We know they're always going to be good. They're always going to be in the playoffs. But it's usually Stanley Cup or bust for Detroit. Their fans are not going to be satisfied with just making the playoffs, so I was surprised they lost to the Flames at home last night. Number 9, Minnesota, 4-4-1, 9 points. Still looking for their offensive groove. I think Minnesota's a good team. I love their top line. I like the additions they made in the offseason. Still looking for their groove, though. It's still early, though. Number 8, Phoenix, 4-4-2, 10 points. Mike Smith, the goalie, back. They missed Steve Sullivan up front. I think he got back a couple days ago. They missed him when he was out. So Phoenix should start to play better with those two guys back in the lineup. Number 7, Edmonton. They are 4-3-2, 10 points. Better on D. We know their offense is good. Good goaltending. Edmonton's been a nice surprise this year. I like what I see from Edmonton. Number 6, Nashville, 4-2-3, 11 points. It's funny, Nashville's not scoring a lot, but they're winning. They did score a lot last night. They went into St. Louis and blasted the Blues 6-1. I was shocked they scored that many goals. The Blues are a solid team. Nashville, up until that game, was not scoring, but they keep winning, so you can't say anything bad about them. Nice job by Nashville. Number 5, St. Louis. They're 6-3, 12 points. Up until last night, they only had allowed 19 goals, but they gave up 6 to a light-scoring Nashville team. I don't know what happened there. So they're in the 5 position, St. Louis. Number 4, Anaheim. 6-1-1, 13 points. 4th in the league in goals against, and they are the surprise team in the NHL to me. I thought Anaheim was going to really struggle, especially out of the gate. They are playing tremendous hockey right now, so nice job by Anaheim. Number 3, Vancouver. They're 5-2-2, 12 points. They're in the 3 position because they're leading their division. They have a quandary, Vancouver. Luongo, who used to be a good goalie years and years ago, had a mental breakdown the last couple of years and was awful. He's been on the trading block since last year. You feel like they were going to move him at any time. Here's the problem. He's playing well now. What do you do if you're Vancouver? He's playing well. The team's playing well. I mean, do you move him now? I mean, do you count on him in the playoffs? He can have a mental breakdown at any time. You can't trust him at this point. Vancouver's had big-time teams, and he's let them down in the past. So what do you do if you're Vancouver? Do you trade him? Do you sit on him for a while? Do you go one more year with him and see what happens? I mean, what in the world do you do with Luongo? Because he's actually playing well. So a big quandary there for Vancouver. Number 2, San Jose. They're 7-1-1. 15 points. I'm sorry, 7-2-1, 15 points. Best goal differential in the West. They went 5 games with not allowing a power play goal. They did lose to Chicago last night at home. That was a tough loss. They got a bad call in that game, but overall, San Jose looks really good. Of course, San Jose has had big-time teams in the past, only to let the fans down year after year. Maybe they surprised you this year. The expectations coming into this year were not as high. Maybe they're a surprise team. And number 1, the Chicago Blackhawks. They are 8-0-2, 18 points. They're still undefeated. Chicago, you can't say anything bad about them. They go into San Jose last night. They fall behind to a good San Jose team. They rally and win the game. They did get a good call in that game. San Jose took a penalty, which was not a penalty, let Chicago score the go-ahead goal. That was a terrible call, so Chicago did get a break, but come on. The Blackhawks doing a tremendous job. They are undefeated. They have not lost a game yet. I mean, unbelievable job by the Blackhawks. You can't say anything bad about them. If they get the goaltending, the Blackhawks are a contender. So far, they've gotten it. Can't say anything bad about the Blackhawks. And a great hockey city, Chicago. A great sports city. I mean, they are so passionate. A blue-collar town. You have to love Chicago. You have to love what the Blackhawks are doing early. So that is your NHL. I mean, it's only half a season in the NHL, so it's weird because we're early in the season, but we're only playing half a season. So it's very tricky in the NHL this year. We'll see if there's surprises this year. Could very well be some surprises, a team sneaking in the playoffs and making a big run with the shortened season. All right, tonight, Wednesday, what to watch? You have your Soccer World Cup qualifying starting today. The USA is in Honduras without Donovan. He's still, taking a little break. USA, there's 6 teams in this qualifying round. USA has to finish in the top 3. If they're in the top 3, they qualify for the World Cup in Brazil. If they finish 4, they have to play a play-in round, a home-and-home with another team. If they finish 5th to 6th, they're out. So you have to be at least in the top 4, like to be in the top 3. They start off 3 of their first 4 games on the road, not easy. First game in Honduras today, very tricky. Remember, no Donovan. USA Soccer, the men's side, usually doesn't play great on the road. It's going to be tricky to find this game on TV. It's not on your regular ESPN or cable networks. It's on like Dish Network or satellite TV. So you're going to have a hard time finding this game. I mean, I think it's on at 4 o'clock Eastern time in the afternoon. So that's another problem. It's on in the afternoon. But keep an eye on it if you can. Keep an eye on USA Soccer. See if they can come up with a win or at least a tie in Honduras. You don't want to lose right off the bat. Win or a tie would be fine today. So that's your World Cup soccer starting today. There's a bunch of friendlies too. All the nations getting together playing friendlies. So if you like soccer today may be your day. As far as your college basketball tonight, Kansas is at TCU. Now, Kansas is coming off a loss at home to Oklahoma State, and they're playing a bad TCU team. Kansas should win this game by 50 points. I mean, this game should be like 90-40. Watch Kansas just bury TCU tonight. Stanford at Arizona. If Stanford has any hope of making the tournament, they need a quality win. Won't be easy in Arizona. Louisville at Rutgers. Minnesota at Michigan State. Nice Big Ten game. The Big Ten is loaded. Creighton at Indiana State. Baylor at Oklahoma State. UConn at St. John's at Madison Square Garden. Big game for St. John's. They're going through a tough stretch of games. They lost to Georgetown. They have UConn tonight. Then they're at Syracuse, at Louisville. You don't want to lose 4 in a row here. St. John's right now I don't think is in. They're a bubble team at best. They need to win this game at UConn home tonight against UConn in the Garden. Need the game. Must win for St. John's tonight because if they lose this game and then got to go to Syracuse and Louisville, that's 2 more losses. That's 4 losses in a row. They're fading out of it. They have a lot of freshmen, St. John's. I do like what Lavin's doing. Big game tonight against UConn in the Garden. As far as your NHL tonight, Dallas, Edmonton, Anaheim, Colorado. Here's a nice game in the NHL. Big rivalry. Boston at Montreal. That's a big-time rivalry in hockey. Check out that game if you get a chance. They should be going at it. Montreal's playing a lot better this year. They're home. And like I told you before, Boston is a nasty team. Those 2 teams should get after it tonight. If you like hard-hitting hockey, check out Boston-Montreal tonight. As far as your NBA tonight, you got Boston-Toronto, Indiana-Philly. Knicks are down in D.C. to play the Wizards. Clippers, who are struggling without Chris Paul, are in Orlando. Memphis is at Atlanta. Houston, Miami, I guess that's a decent game. Portland at Dallas. Milwaukee at Utah. Here's a nice game for you. Golden State at Oklahoma City. You want to see how Golden State responds after they got pasted by Houston last night. Now they go to Oklahoma City, which is never an easy place to play. So we'll see how Golden State responds on the road on that back-to-back after getting trounced by Houston last night. So that is your sports to watch tonight. That was your NHL little recap there. We recapped some scores from last night. Tomorrow we're going to do our NBA. We'll recap what went on today in the sports world. You guys, thanks for tuning in. You guys stay safe. Enjoy the games tonight. I would definitely check that Boston-Montreal game out if you can. Boston-Montreal. I'm going to be watching that game tonight. That's a nasty game tonight. I'm going to have my eye on that one. You guys enjoy the games tonight. Stay safe. I'll talk to you tomorrow, Thursday. Take care.